Banjo Patterson wrote this poem for all Australians. There was movement at the station, for the word had passed around that the colt from Old Regret had got away and had joined the wild bush horses. He was worth £1,000, so all the cracks had gathered to the fray. All the tried and noted riders from the stations near and far had gathered at the homestead overnight, for the bushmen love hard riding where the wild bush horses are, and the stock horse snuffs a battle with delight. There was Harrison. He made his pile when Pardon won the cup, the old man with his hair as white as snow, but few could stay beside him when his blood was fairly up. He would go wherever man or horse could go. And Clancy of the Overflow came down to lend a hand. No better horseman ever held the reins, and never horse could throw him while the saddle girths could stand. He learnt to ride while droving on the plains. And one was there, a stripling on a small and weedy beast. He was something like a racehorse undersized, with a touch of Timor pony, 3 parts thoroughbred at least, and such as are by mountain horsemen prized. He was hard and tough and wiry, just the sort that won't say die. There was courage in his quick, impatient tread, and he bore the badge of gameness in his bright and fiery eye and the proud and lofty carriage of his head. But yet, so small and weedy, one would doubt his power to stay. And the old man said, "That horse'll never do for a long and tiring gallop, lad. You'd better stay away. These hills are far too rough for such as you." So he waited, sad and wistful. Only Clancy stood his friend. "I think we'd better let him come," he said, "for I warrant he'll be with us when he's needed at the end, for both his horse and he are mountain bred. For he hails from Snowy River, up by Kosciuszko's side, where the hills are twice as steep and twice as rough. The horse's hoofs strike firelight from the flint stone every stride. The man that holds his own is good enough. And these Snowy River horsemen in the mountains make their home where the river runs those giant hills between. I've seen full many horsemen since I first commenced to roam, but never yet such riders have I seen." So he went. They found the horses by the big mimosa clump, and they raced away toward the mountain brow, and the old man gave his orders. "Boys, go at 'em from the jump. No use to try for fancy riding now. And Clancy, you must wheel them. Try and wheel them to the right. Ride boldly, lad, and never fear the spills, for never yet was rider could keep that mob in sight once they reached the safety of those hills." So Clancy rode to wheel them. He was racing on the wing where the best and boldest riders take their place, and he raced his stock horse past them, and he made the rangers ring with the stock whip as he met them face to face. And they halted for a moment as he swung that dreaded lash, but saw their well-loved mountain full in view, and they charged beneath the stock whip with a sharp and sudden dash, and off into the mountain scrub they flew. And fast the horsemen followed, where the gorges deep and black resounded to the thunder of their tread, and their stock whips woke the echoes, and they fiercely answered back from cliffs and crags that beetled overhead. But upward, ever upward, the wild horses held their way, where Currajong and Mountain Ash grew wide, and the old man muttered fiercely, "We may bid the mob good day, no man can hold them down the other side." When they reached the mountain summit, even Clancy took a pull. It well might make the boldest hold their breath, for the wild hop scrub grew thickly, and the hidden ground was full of wombat holes, and any slip meant death. But the man from Snowy River let his pony have his head. He swung his stock whip round and gave a cheer, and he sent the pony plunging like a torrent down its bed, while the others held their breaths in very fear. He sent the flint stones flying, but the pony kept his feet. He cleared the fallen timber in his stride, and the man from Snowy River never shifted in his seat. It was grand to see that mountain horseman ride through stringy barks and saplings, over rough and broken ground. Down the hillside at a racing pace he went, and he never drew the bridle till he landed safe and sound at the bottom of that terrible descent. He was right among the horses as they climbed the farther hill, and the watchers on the hillside, standing mute, saw him ply his stock whip fiercely. He was right amongst them still as he raced across the clearing in pursuit. Then they lost him for a moment where 2 mountain gullies met in the ranges, but a final glimpse reveals on a dim and distant hillside the wild horses racing yet, with the man from Snowy River at their heels. And he ran them single-handed till their sides were white with foam. He followed like a bloodhound on their track till they halted, cowed and beaten. Then he turned their heads for home, and alone and unassisted brought them back. And his hardy mountain pony, he could scarcely raise a trot. He was blood from hip to shoulder from the spur, but his courage was undaunted and his pluck was fiery hot, for never yet was mountain horse a cur. And up by Kosciuszko, where the pine-clad ridges raise their torn and ragged battlements on high, where the air is clear as crystal and the white stars fairly blaze at midnight in a cold and frosty sky, and where around the overflow the reed beds sweep and sway to the breezes and the grassy plains are wide, the man from Snowy River is a household word today, and the stockmen tell the story of his ride.